Welcome back to the channel. This is Roberto with Full Curl Precision again. Hey, quick little joke. What do you call a bus full of lawyers that fell into a lake? A good start. Anyway, yeah, here you go. So for tonight, we have a three-way battle. We're going to go old school versus mid school versus pretty new school, actually. These aren't like ultra new cartridges, but they are in their own way set some standards. So let me turn my camera around, and there we go. All right, so we have the 7x57 Mauser versus the 280 Remington versus the 284 Winchester. So, some of you might go, oh, the 284 Winchester is not that new. It is in a relative sense. It's nowhere near as old as the 280 Remington or the 7x57 Mauser. Those two have been around a lot longer. So, I answered a comment on a different video of what I consider the 284 Winchester a short magnum. And my response is, to a degree, yes. And I'll explain once I get to that part of the video. But for now, we're going to start with the 7x57 Mauser. Basically one of the most influential cartridges, not only in European hunting, but American hunting, that influenced the 30-06, the 270, the 280 Remington, so on and so forth. This has had a tremendous impact on everything you know and love in the hunting world. So, giving it its dues, here we go. So, using a common stocking length barrel is 22 inches. We're using a 140 grain Remington ballistic tip with a G1 of 0.479. So it's a pretty good bullet. It's not exactly the heaviest, but for these cartridges, this is a pretty common weight, 140 grains. We're using N550 as the common powder, and with 50.7 grains, achieving the max pressure, by the way, that's the max pressure assigned, is 56,565. Muzzle velocity, 2888 feet per second and 2593 foot-pounds. That's actually pretty good, because the 7x57 Mauser, the actual cartridge, isn't all that big, but it packs in some decent amount of powder, and that's a pretty good velocity for hunting application, typical hunting. That's going to do everything you're going to need it to do. At 100 yards, you got 2694 feet per second. Sorry, I wrote over my own lettering. 2257 foot-pounds, 0 inches of drop. And that's the other thing, too. All these have 100 yards, 0. 2509 feet per second at 200 yards, 1957 foot-pounds, and 2.8 inches of drop. 300 yards, 2331 feet per second, and 1689 foot-pounds, 11.1 inches of drop. 400 yards, 2160 feet per second, 1451 foot-pounds, and 25.9 inches of drop. 280 Remington, here we go. Using the same powder, again, same 22-inch barrel, max pressure of 61,000. I'm getting 56.8 grains of N550. Muzzle velocity, 3017, with a muzzle energy of 2830. It's significantly faster. There's just no way around that. Okay, it is using basically 6 more grains of powder, and it's getting a pretty good jump in velocity out of that. You're talking somewhere like 140 feet per second, somewhere in the ballpark, 130 to 140 feet per second difference. So it's actually a big jump in velocity with literally the same barrel length. That's actually a big difference. So going out to 100 yards, you got 2818 feet per second with 2468 foot-pounds, 0 inches of drop. 200 yards, 2627 feet per second with 2146 foot-pounds and 2.4 inches of drop. 300 yards, 2444 feet per second, 1857 foot-pounds, 9.8 inches of drop. 400 yards, 2269 feet per second and 1601 foot-pounds and 23.1 inches of drop. So even at 400 yards, the 280 Remington is maintaining over 100 feet per second faster than the 7x57 Mauser. And it's maintaining a difference of 150 feet of energy, a difference of 150 foot-pounds of energy. That's a big jump in your terminal ballistics. So while the 7x57 Mauser is no slouch, that 280 Remington, being its parent casing is the 30-06, has a significantly larger powder reservoir, and it's making full use of that. Could I have found a different powder for the 7x57? Sure, but as I went through them, this N550 seemed to just hit a good sweet spot with all of them, where we were getting pretty close to 100% case fill and 100% burn rate. So this is actually optimizing the burn rates and everything else. It works really well in all three of these cartridges. But you can tell that the 280 Remington is no slouch. That would be a great rifle cartridge for not only deer, but even elk. It would do the job, as long as you're obviously placing your shots and being responsible with that. And coming in as probably the blindside king of this list is the 284 Winchester. This one surprised me. It really did. And I'm pleasantly surprised because I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I hadn't really had the chance to do a ballistics comparison until today. And to answer the question, do I consider the 284 Winchester to be a kind of a short mag? And the answer is yes. Yes and no, but predominantly yes, and I'll explain why. Because it does not share the same body diameter as the 30-06 casing. So you have a 0.473 body diameter in the 30-06 line of family, whether it's long action or even short action. That's really the size it is. The body diameter on the 284 Winchester is 0.5. If you take the 375 H&H, the 7 rem mag, and the 300 Win mag, and even the 300 Weatherby, if you shave the belt down, the body diameter is 0.5. So it shares the same exact body diameter as a Magnum. It's just it's not part of the WSM line of Magnums. It's a different form of Magnum. And it does have basically the same powder capacity as a 280 Remington? Yes. But it's built more into the short Magnum style as opposed to the 280 Remington, which is built in a long action. So it's totally different. And so to a degree, even though the powder reservoir is basically the same, it does act like a short Magnum to a degree. And this shows in the numbers. Using 54.7 grains of the N550, so here's the thing, it's using 2 grains less of powder than the 280 Remington. Again, max pressure of 63,817. That's the max PSI according to the reloading data that I've been able to find. 3,040 feet per second. So it's using 2 less grains of powder out of the same length of barrel, and it's going faster than the 280 Remington. Now, you're talking a difference of 23 feet per second. Is that significant? Not really, but it's still faster. It's achieving better velocities with less powder. So again, it's acting like a short Magnum. And then here's the thing too, you're getting 2873 foot-pounds. So you're talking a difference of 43 foot-pounds. It's not, again, in of itself for hunting application, you're not going to notice a massive difference, but it's still showing it. And that's kind of an important thing to pay attention to. So when you're going to ask a question, does it fit in a certain category? Is it behaving like it belongs in a certain category? And in this case, I'd have to argue that the 284 Winchester acts like a short Magnum more than it does a standard case. And it kind of shows overall. So 28 at 100 yards, you got 2840 feet per second, 2507 foot-pounds, 0 inches of drop. 200 yards, you got 2648 feet per second, 2180 foot-pounds, 2.3 inches of drop. 300 yards, you got 2465 feet per second, 1888 foot-pounds, and 9.6 inches of drop. And at 400 yards, 2288 feet per second, and 1628 foot-pounds, and 22.6 inches of drop. So out of all three of these, it's the fastest and it's the flattest. And they're, again, using the same powder and literally the same exact bullet and same exact length of barrel. There's no denying that the 284 Winchester takes this. Now, is it an absolutely massive difference that if you're only hunting within these ranges that you need to worry about? Not really. But if you're going to argue the point that it's really an irrelevant cartridge, I'd have to disagree. Because if you're going to argue that the 280 Remington is a valid cartridge and that the 7x57 is a valid cartridge, and that the 280 Ackley is 270, so on and so forth, anywhere in that medium bore, 27s and 28s, if you're saying that those other ones are valid cartridges and they need to be kept around and still used and hunted with, you have no reason to disregard the 284 Winchester. Now, Winchester made a mistake when they put this in a lever gun, and like that's where they really made their error. This would have been far more popular had they done not only a lever gun, but had they also done it in a bolt action and a semi-auto. Had they done that, it would have been a totally different story. But in no way, shape, or form is a 284 Winchester an invalid cartridge. It's a very good cartridge. You want to know how good it is? It's the parent casing to one of the best PRS cartridges you can find. The 6.5 by 284 Norma. Yeah, look at those numbers again. Listen to what I said. 6.5 by 284 Norma. Norma took the 284 Winchester case, necked it down to 26, and created an absolute screamer of a cartridge that's competitive with the 6.5 PRC. So, if it was so invalid, why would Norma look at it as an opportunity to create something new? They did it because of the value that the 284 Winchester has. So if you're looking for something different and you like your 7mm and you want it in a short action and you want it in a reasonably recoiling and affordable to reload, I think a 284 Winchester might be a great option for you, especially if you do a custom in a bolt action. The best part about it is the actual rebate of the rim shares the exact same bolt face as a 308, 243, 6.5 Creedmoor, 30-06, 270. It's that standard size bolt face. So you can literally go find a basic short action rifle, and literally just rebarrel it and rechamber it. That's it. You don't have to do a ton of work to it, because it's going to fit inside that standard, that short action length, and it's going to feed with the standard bolt face that comes inside of that. It doesn't require a Magnum bolt face. Is the brass the cheapest? No. But is it a good one? Yes. And so in my opinion, if you're looking for something different and you want to stay short action, you're definitely going to have good success with a 284 Winchester. Well, I appreciate you tuning in. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and we'll talk to you again.